The priorities of Pakistan have never been clearer. First, the global goal on adaptation needs to be prioritized, both in terms of financing and timelines. We are yet to see the promised half and half balance in adaptation and mitigation finance. The current financing gap is too high to sustain any real recovery needs of those on the front lines of climate catastrophe. Second, loss and damage needs to be part of the core agenda of COP27 to meet the pressing humanitarian needs of those that are trapped in a crisis of public financing fueled by debt and yet have to fund climate disasters on their own. This is simply unjust and unfair, to say the least. Third, Mr. President, climate finance must be clearly defined as new, additional and sustained resources with a transparent mechanism that meets the needs of developing and vulnerable countries with the speed and scale that is required. There should now be total clarity on what actually counts as climate transfer and what counts as development finance, for instance, as they often overlap. Excellencies, we have been talking for years, but have failed to even agree on the basics. Pledges made at the Copenhagen COP15 in 2009 for mobilizing $100 billion per annum by 2020 have still not been realized. They need to be enhanced given the increased frequency and intensity of climate extreme events. Fourth, a global climate risk index of all parties of the UNFCCC must be created under the auspices of the UN system. Projects from the most vulnerable countries on this index must get prioritized and speedy approvals for climate finance. And finally, mitigation ambition needs to be revived in a clear burden share formula. The promise of common but differentiated responsibilities must be respected as we race towards a much higher trajectory of warming than defined in the Paris Agreement. Pakistan's 2030 ambition in the indices are already higher than many countries, but we understand our responsibilities as we move towards a net zero plan once we recover. Excellencies, unless there is a transformational shift in the flow of capacities, finance and technology that reverses the pyramid of climate capital, the bargain between the North and the South will not work.